You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Oh, and yes, you are listening to Orange County's longest running business talk show, and I am your host, Rick Franzi, and we have an exciting show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because David Cristofaro is our guest. He's the CEO of Actionable Research. And David, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited to have you. I always like it when I have an Orange County entrepreneur, and especially when I have a founder, because I get to ask the question that I love to hear the answer to, which was, take us back in time, David. The original motivation or maybe inspiration for you to start the firm, what was it? And tell us about the origin story.
Sure. So this was back in 1999. And if you remember back in that period, it was a really exciting time in terms of lots of new entrepreneurial ideas. You know, the web 1.0 was blowing up. Companies that, had no profitability. You talked more about burn rate back then than you did, revenue and profit.
Right.
And I was working for a company that served the Lotus Notes community. And so that ecosystem back in the day was very entrepreneurial. So lots of small software developers, lots of small companies, and being part of that, it was just really easy to get excited about, I need to be part of what's happening right now. And I had a close friend who was very focused on marketing research and some newer methodologies that were coming out for customer loyalty. And the idea was, let's build a system that can track customer loyalty for all of the, billions of dollars worth of commerce websites that were going to be, the numbers were in the trillions when they were predicting it back in 99, 2000. And so, compressing the story, we built a business plan and found investors, raised $1 million in capital, won a Tech Coast Venture Network contest to present in front of a room of VCs. And we were told that, we were going to be oversubscribed. But this was when the NASDAQ was at 5,000 in March. And by the time November rolled around, when the presentation took place, the NASDAQ was around 2,200 or so, and the room was empty. So folks had kind of moved on from the web. But what I didn't move on from was marketing research. And so to add to that particular servicing, I just fell back on the vertical markets that I knew from my own experience, which was the medical device business and technology. And so I began to look for consulting clients for market research. And that was the beginning of that it was right around 2002. So it would have been July of 2002. So yes, that was the impetus. That's what got me into this.
those of us who were in business at the turn of the century remember how it went from the 1998, 99 to what the hell just happened in 2000, and the dot-com bubble burst. Yeah, it reset a lot of business plans, wasn't it? Yeah, burn rate. Yeah, get clients, customer acquisition was the screaming.
Get clients and build your application, build your website, right? Get all that built and going, and we'll take care of the capital. And as time went, it was, what else do you do?
Well, I want to congratulate you on your perseverance, because that type of experience could cause people to put their entrepreneurial goals on the shelf and go back to the day job kind of a thing. So I like that you're a survivor. How long after you launched Actionable Research did you really feel in your gut that you had a business you could depend on, that was going to grow and maybe thrive and succeed the way it has?
I would say that, as you can imagine, the first 3 years, maybe 4 years even, were pretty tenuous. You're building a name. one of the things that I tell people, that are newer entrepreneurs is when you're in business doing something for just a certain period of time and you've served enough clients, people will come back to you, and that number builds up. So, in the beginning, it's really all just running really hard and making sure that you service people better than your competition and that you make sure that they are completely satisfied, because many businesses fail because they don't satisfy all of their clients adequately, and they wind up running out of customers, so to speak. So critical. But in 2008, it really was when we were had sort of hit our second leg of growth and began to experience that peace that comes with, I'm focused on growth rather than where's my next dinner going to come from.
Yeah. If you're going to eat, you've got to kill it that morning. When you're an early stage entrepreneur, right? It's hand to mouth, hand to mouth. Yes.
Yeah. And you have to make sure it stays dead, so.
Well, I don't want to get too graphic here on the Critical Mass Business Talk Show, but I remember when I started this business, which was 2007, I was one of the peer groups that I was in. I asked those experienced entrepreneurs, how long do you think it's going to take me till I feel this business has really kind of got it? And the consensus around the table was probably 3 to 5 years before you really have a model that you can depend on. And I'm like, oh my God, 3 to 5 years. And sure enough, it took about the 5 years before I really felt like, okay, I have a business that I understand. To your point, some people who said no a while ago are coming back to me now and they're interested. So I'm still in the show, so I have a chance to address them. So yeah. For those entrepreneurs who are in the early days of your business, it may take you a little bit longer and cost a little bit more than you would like. But if you stay in the game, you should get the rewards.
Yeah, definitely. There are certainly some forces at play today that are going to stretch that out a little bit, especially if you compare it to the last decade, right? To the 2010s, where capital was cheaper, the bar was a little bit lower in terms of return on investment. So, that's a good thing to know, I guess, to be aware of longer to have that happen,
You're exactly right. The era of cheap money and easy business plans are kind of gone. You got to really have a business model that makes sense. But let's talk about your business model. Let's talk about actionable. I love the name, Actionable Research.
Thank you.
It's very graphic in my mind. But talk to me about, who do you help? What problems do you solve? And how are they choosing to work with your firm?
Right. So, we're a primary market research firm, which means that we deal directly with the endpoints or those audiences that our clients are looking to understand, right? So rather than doing secondary research where we would look at work that's been done by others and compile it and draw conclusions, we actually design a study. We work with our clients to determine what should that audience look like, that sample for the research. And then we look to basically, because we're more focused on new product development and innovation, we wind up working more frequently on those kinds of projects. So either understanding unmet needs and determining with really laser focus exactly what are the unmet needs that are most urgently in need of a solution. And then we also do work like pricing, helping our clients determine what an optimal price looks like, doing forecasting, and then a number of just tracking exercises. So like brand tracking to make sure that your base of customers has a healthy view of you, and to also surveil the market to see, are any of my competitors breaking out? Are any new competitors on the scene that I'm not aware of? Same thing for customer loyalty, to be able to understand, what is driving your customers to return, and what you can do in order to increase that loyalty rate. And then we do work as well that is more exploratory or discovery. And we'll typically do that in a qualitative format. So that'll be either one-on-one interviews, or we would call IDIs, in-depth interviews, or we would do good old survey research. And, nowadays with the tools that we have available for programming very effective, efficient surveys, tools to manage the data that comes back and analyze it. It's an exciting time for market research because we deliver insights to our clients that help them build better products, service their clients better, understand their audiences better so that they can serve, so that the companies can hit their targets more effectively and compete more effectively. So, I mean, that's actionable. And, we're focused in medical device, dental, and orthodontics, in the aesthetics business. So plastic surgery, cosmetic dermatology, and a number of other vertical markets that we've just been involved with over time, like life sciences, such as working with, systems like PCR, working with flow cytometry, a number of different technologies used to do drug discovery and, just basic science for discovery work.
So was it conscious effort to be in those industries, or was it happenstance? Tell me how you ended up focused on those areas.
Yeah, it's interesting how these kinds of things happen, because it really is in many ways, led by circumstances and just good fortune or, otherwise. The dental part of our business, I had somebody working with us, lady named Ruth, who used to do a fantastic job. She was a former dental assistant. And so in that process, she and I collaborated to basically enter and build relationships with a number of companies in that market. And through that, through that time and effort, we managed to, have a 20-year plus relationship with a few companies that we began working with back very early on when the company started. And companies like Align Technology, 3M, SB at the time, which is now OCSD, 3M OCSD, their dental division, ADEC, a number of brands, Dentsply Sirona, that are in that dental vertical space. So, yeah. And then the rest of it, medical device, I myself worked for Boston Scientific a long time ago. And as a result of that experience and spending time in the operating room, I've had, the good fortune to be able to work with a number of companies that are focused in the medical device vertical. So that's, it's really, for us, it was based on where did I feel like I understood the vertical market well enough to be able to speak intelligently. And, when you've had spent time in the operating room and you're doing an interview with a physician or a surgeon, it helps a lot if you have that context. And, I tried my best to leverage that as much as I could so that we, could build our business and, mostly successful, to be able to use that experience I had. So.
I think it's a best practice for the loyal listeners. They know I'm all about the niche. For entrepreneurs, you can't boil the ocean. And to your point, if you get clients in a certain category, you begin to speak their language and understand their business at a level that if you fly over it, you really can't maybe do them justice. And I would think in your business, where you're really looking at getting data that is valid, signal from noise, right? That is really
exactly
valuable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate enough in that the way that our research works, we actually design the research. So we design it. And so we choose the data, what data we're going to bring in. We already have a plan ahead of time in terms of how we're going to analyze that to get the results that we're looking for. So, knowing what answers you could get, even knowing what answers your client would like to get, has no bearing on writing objective research. But it's critical to understand what it is that the answers that they're looking to know are, right? Because you can write an objective question to give them an answer to their question. You can write a bad question to do that too. But nobody wants to, the worst thing you could have happen to you is to have an idea that's flawed and to, by some, trick and methodology, get better answers than you were expecting. You don't want that, because you're going to invest, some untold amount of money on something that isn't good enough. So that's our job, is really to make sure that we give people objective answers so that, they can reach success.
As you're explaining that, I can't help but go to the scenario where the company has a preconceived notion that they're asking you to test, and your results come back counter to what they thought, and how receptive are they to you telling them, well, you want to shift it this way because this is where the market is. Did you ever have that experience, David? Yeah,
that's not fun. I mean, and there are times where there are competing desires, right? So one person in the room or two people might, want answer A, and other people might want answer B. And, when you're delivering the answers, that's when the questions come out, like, so how did you do this? And how did you pick the people that we talked to? So you make sure, experience teaches you, you make sure that your methodology and your choices are such that you're allowing objective answers to be had, rather than people just, designing their own answer, because, checkbox research isn't real research.
Nice. Yeah. So. And I applaud the companies that hire you and firms like yours to get data before they make decisions, rather than their gut or what they think should be. So congratulations on creating an informed customer base and people who are moving forward. I'm wondering, is artificial intelligence playing a role in your business or in your industry? And if so, can you kind of highlight how you see AI integrating into what you do?
Yeah, this is something that's been a long time coming, and has been talked about for a long time, much longer than this current cycle. So with ChatGPT and this latest, large language model that OpenAI created, that actually sort of, went over the hump in terms of delivering real value in a very simple way, right? So you have this chatbot that can, do research for you and pull things together. So, right away, there's opportunities to do data gathering, and to pull together very simple answers, to create, different documents and even surveys and whatnot that can, in fact, give you a starting point. But I think as time goes, AI is going to be critical for a number of reasons. And if you look at the research process, designing surveys is going to be, probably one of the more challenging aspects. Although you can ask ChatGPT to write you a survey on, you pick the topic, and it'll write out questions and answers for you. I mean, I was somewhat surprised, but there's so much more to the process of drafting objective research and making sure that those questions are in the right order, making sure that biases don't introduce themselves into the question order. So AI is going to be a huge lever for us in that end, but it's got a ways to go. In the middle section here, where we're talking about processing data, and when I say data, I am equally talking about, answers in a spreadsheet that goes sideways, but also recorded audio and video. And that is really where its strength is highest. Excuse me one second. And so that, but in the middle section, being able to process audio and video is where it's really going to shine. So there are already applications that are summarizing these kinds of materials, and doing a good job at it. We're going to see AI doing a better job with interactivity, I think, in terms of being able to be as an add-on for some of the features that come with virtual reality and augmented reality. So there's still lots of opportunity that's untapped there that's going to be coming forward. So, AI has significant opportunity, and on the analytics side. So to be able to put things in place so that your data that's coming in, so say if you're not like us, where we design a little sample, we gather it, we analyze it, for those companies that are doing data science, where they're coding, streams of data that are coming into their companies, and they're trying to draw conclusions from that. AI is going to be a huge lever in that way, and it's going to get easier to program. So, it starts out like being something that only a few people can do. And then as the technology migrates down, we get to a point where people can, just type something into a browser like ChatGPT, or they could train it with their data and get, better results. So it's super exciting time to be in our business. And I intend to make sure that Actionable is, in the middle of that.
So let's talk about the future then. What do you foresee? What's your vision for the company's future?
Yeah, so we have a number of initiatives that we're looking to drive forward. We have a relationship with a significant number of dentists and oral care professionals that we've been working with, almost 20 years. And that relationship has really constituted us inviting them to do research. So spend some time with us doing a survey or an interview, we'll compensate you. What I'd like to do is take those individuals that we've earned their trust, I hope, and to be able to give them somewhere where they can come to understand what's happening in their marketplace, and to make it an easier process for them to engage with research and dental brands. And that's something that we're actively working on, as well as introducing a new emotion scoring methodology that is focused entirely on audio. So if you can imagine our interview now, it would analyze the audio, and it provides a real-time stream with 6 dimensions of emotion based on that person's voice, cadence, their tone, everything. So it gives insight into, is that person happy, upset, anxious, etc. And so when you're asking people questions about things, it's a very valuable dimension to understand, but it's very difficult to get objective. Right. Because you can imagine, if I ask you, tell me how you feel about this, right? It becomes cognitive. You think, okay, how should I answer this question?
Right.
Or, this takes away that whole component, and it gives the raw answer based on that person's, like, once again, the attributes of their speech. And so that's something that we'll be bringing out in Actionable in the next 6 months. And a couple other things that are really new on the augmented reality side that I've been excited about for a long time. But we're too early stage to talk about.
Well, we'll have to have you back, David, and you can share more with us.
Okay. Overly cryptic.
If someone would like to connect with you, maybe on LinkedIn, or visit your website or any of your social platforms, where do you say they go to find out more about Actionable Research?
Yes. Primarily, the best place would be actionable.com. So go to www.actionable.com.
You got that, huh? That's a good URL. Yeah. Congratulations.
That's a whole other story, too. I wound up doing work as a trade for that domain back in 2002. It was a dream come true.
Right.
But davidc@actionable.com is my email address.
Okay.
And also on LinkedIn. And you can sign up for our blogs that we typically put up, at least once a month. Sometimes the cycle is a little tighter than that, but we're always putting up new stories and whatnot on what we're doing and, what's happening in the market.
Well, thanks for giving of your time and being a guest here on Critical Mass Business Talk Show. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, Rick. It's been really fun.
And I'd like to thank the audience. You're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. David's interview now goes into our catalog of over 1,400 interviews that we've done over the years that we've been on the air. You can find our podcasts on all the major podcasting platforms. You can see a copy of this interview on YouTube and my LinkedIn profile and maybe David's profile as well. And if you're an Orange County entrepreneur and you have a story to tell, you'd like to tell it here on the Business Talk Show, then reach out to me. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. That's my LinkedIn profile. Coincidentally, that's our company's YouTube website as well, rickfranzi.com. And Rick Franzi is our YouTube channel too. So it's all about Rick Franzi, just making it easy for people to find us. And until the next time we have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.